This episode is brought to you by Rhino 5K. Rhino 5K in Larimer Mile is not your average 5K. The race course runs completely on closed roads through the Rhino Art District and historic Curtis Park, full of beautiful homes and big trees. Register now at rhino5k.org before the price increases on September 8th. The race takes place on September 13th. Again, visit rhino5k.org and use discount code RUNCITYCAST for $5 off registration. Today on CityCast Denver, the Trump administration has officially told East High School that all gender restrooms are against Title IX and must be converted back to bathrooms for boys or girls. But will DPS comply? Then RTD's got eyes on their train cars and it seems to be working. Reports of open drug use are way down, but ridership also remains low. So what gives? Me and producer Olivia Jewell Love dig into these stories, plus more news of the week. Oh, and stick around for our sponsored interview with Dr. Jessica Apted with Sploot Veterinary Care about taking care of your furry friends in the Mile High. Today is Wednesday, September 3rd. I'm Bree Davies, and here's what Denver's talking about. Good morning, Olivia.
Good morning, Bree.
I don't think we've really talked since our awesome member event meetup last week.
Oh my God, it was so great.
It was so much fun. Thank you to all of you who came out to Schoolyard Beer Garden. It rained like crazy, but you all stayed hanging out with us anyway, and we went inside.
I was like, we got to go inside now so we can get some space. You guys ran in there, and some of you stayed. So I literally stayed till 10. And
That's awesome.
Y'all were still there. We were still chilling, hanging out. It was crazy.
It was so much fun.
So fun. I literally reconnected with my 7th grade history teacher from Kansas.
I watched this
mind you,
happen.
from Kansas, not even from here. That it was actually so crazy. And I totally
you could see this man going through hundreds of students' faces while he was looking at you.
He taught for 25 years. He was like, who is
and you were like, and I know you, Olivia, you never forget a face. And you were like, I'm going to figure this out.
I locked in on him immediately.
You were like, college, high school?
I was like,
middle
I've
school.
had a lot of teachers. Let's see. Who are you? So that was so fun.
Thank you, Kurt, for coming out.
Annalise, so good to see you guys. I had so much fun. Thank you all for coming so I could keep my job. Y'all really heard that and came, and I do appreciate that. And thank you to the folks at Schoolyard. It was so fun, and we had such a good time.
We'll be doing one again, so if you missed it, don't worry. We'll do it.
Yeah, we're going to do it again. So join membership.
Yes, membership.citycast.fm. Again, you get all kinds of cool perks, including an ad-free podcast feed. But one of the things is invites to these exclusive events that are just for members. Before we move on, really quickly, could you address, we were supposed to get a tour of the Evans School building, which ended up not happening, but we wanted to let you guys know it wasn't for lack of trying.
And a lot of you were like so hyped for it, and I'm sorry it didn't happen. It ended up that like we got there and it was rainy, and that was a part of it. But also like the site manager, I guess he just like had hoped that construction would be a little bit further along, because as you guys know, Schoolyard is new there and there's some other construction going on in the building for the rest of the space. So they just had hoped that construction would be further along and that the construction site would be like more open. And then it happened to be that night, and it just ended up being closed off, and he didn't anticipate that. And I didn't find out till I got on site. So I do apologize for that not being what we expected it to be. But I appreciate everyone rolling with it and still being game to hang out and just chill. So hopefully, those tours will be open, sometime soon, and everyone can go check it out.
Yeah. Well, we'll see you at the next one.
Yeah. Come through.
Come hang out. Okay, let's talk about the news. First up is a story about RTD, which I feel like we have not talked about RTD a lot lately, but there was this new report that public drug use, which was a reported problem on RTD by a lot of riders, that was one of the issues that was keeping people from utilizing RTD. Apparently, public drug use is down. What's going on, Olivia?
Yeah, so I was reading this article this morning, and RTD has gotten these like reports from riders. They have this app they have riders use called Transit Watch, and they've been getting reports where they've seen like reports of illicit drug activity. Those reports have been decreasing for 13 consecutive months. And so June was the first time in over 3 years that illicit drug activity was not the most frequently reported customer incident.
That's great.
I was like, okay, RTD.
I just want to address one thing because a part of the action plan by RTD on this was to keep elevator doors open on RTD stops and light rail stops that have elevators. And I was a little skeptical because elevators are already kind of faulty, and I have a lot of friends who use wheelchairs, and I was worried, like, is this going to like affect the use of the elevator? And it turns out I don't think it did. So
well, that's great. And I think, another part of this plan was having more visibility of officers on the trains. And so they kind of had this like 4-step security plan where they wanted to support customers and employees. And they were having like a higher visibility of officers. They wanted to educate customers about respect the ride code of conduct. And they were using technology for real-time surveillance of stop stations and in emergencies, like in the vehicles. And it seems like it's working.
Yeah.
So I guess that the while security calls and the reports declined, they were increasing their like proactive fare checks by 500%, which is crazy.
Like making sure people paid.
Yeah. So for people who haven't like taken I was a light rail user, and so like one of these things that they're talking about here is the light rail. And when you get on the light rail, there's nobody at the door checking to make sure you have a ticket. And so it's kind of honor system. And so a lot of that was just people getting on, and like whether or not they had a ticket. And so now as part of this security plan, they're actually checking fares. Like they said they completed almost 450,000 fare checks on the rail in July 2025 alone. That's crazy.
That seems like so much.
I mean, I just can't even imagine this. I rode the W line for like, I don't know, year and a half, every week. I don't know if I ever got my fare checked. I don't know if they ever checked me.
So they really do have bodies on these trains checking things out.
I started noticing towards the end that they started having these guys on there. But it was like the beginning of this rollout. So they weren't really doing anything yet. They were just kind of like bodies there to like make a statement, I guess. But now they're like actually checking fares. And I think that has
made a difference.
So,
well, I have to ask you then, Olivia, would this recent news change your ad? Like, I know that you had some uncomfortable situations on the light rail, which led you to start driving again back downtown because it was just like, I don't feel comfortable as a young lady riding the train alone. Would this change your thought about maybe taking light rail again?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of reasons, honestly, like anything. But I mean, I think this is really positive. It's really hard, like, as a person like riding the light rail, just trying to get to work in the morning, if somebody is like openly smoking some kind of illicit drug in the same car as you, that's a health concern, for me. And like, I'm not trying to judge a person for the choices they're making, but I am, looking out for my own personal health and well-being. And I'm like, that's not a situation I want to put myself into, especially at 8 a.m. on my way to work. Like, I'm not trying to inhale that. And so it's like hard because I'm like, I want to use public transit. I want to do all this, but it's like, hard. And then just like being on situations where like, people make you uncomfortable, just like kind of like talking to you out of pocket. And so like, I think that maybe this like increased security could be a good thing. And like, maybe it would make me feel a little bit more comfortable depending on kind of like the vibe of the officers, like, I don't know. At the beginning, when they first started riding, I felt like they were pretty hostile towards like people who were kind of presenting as unhoused.
I think I do want to say, I think that's been part of the struggle with this enforcement is it unfairly picking on unhoused people, which often that Venn diagram is not crossover where necessarily folks who are unhoused are the folks that are also using drugs on the train. I mean, that is, I think that's a fair thing to say.
I think that like when the enforcement first kind of started, I did see that. I saw some of the officers making comments. They would like be picking up foil on the ground and being like,
which sucks. Nobody wants to do that.
Nobody wants to do that, but it's also part of their job right now as being enforcement on the train. But they would be making like disparaging comments about people who use drugs. And like, that just felt uncomfortable for me as someone who's just trying to ride the train. I'm like, I don't really need, your personal commentary on people who use drugs as like someone who's supposed to just like be here to keep the peace. And I don't know. I think that now the focus on fare checks does make it feel a little bit more fair, for lack of a better word, because then it's kind of like, if you're not, paying the thing, whatever you look like, if you're not paying the thing, you can't ride the train. But what I will say, this was at the beginning of the enforcement. So like, I think that they've settled into this a little more, but like, I don't know, like I've said, I haven't been on the train in a while. It did feel at the beginning, like kind of biased. Like they were looking at people who like had a lot of bags with them, or like who looked like they were like kind of like slumped over and sleeping on the train. Because like, I know like the one time there was a fare check, they were looking for those people's tickets and they walked right by me, and
feels very profile-y.
Well, I'm so annoying. I was like, do you want to see my ticket? Which like, So I was like, look at mine. And like, just, I don't know. So I'm hoping, I mean, obviously if they're doing this many fare checks, I don't know how they could get away with not viewing everybody's tickets. Like, so I have to assume that they've, settled in or are being more equitable with it now. But yeah, so I don't know. I think this is a good sign for public transit, though I don't know if the numbers reflect that necessarily, like with ridership.
Because ridership is down.
It's down. Right. It's Elena Alvarez at Axios reported that ridership is like still trending down in 2025, and it's still like 39% below pre-pandemic levels.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So it's still down. And like, there's a lot of reasons for that. They think maybe like some of it's like people feeling unsafe, which they have this plan for. A lot of it might be like Denver has the huge gap of people not returning to in-office. So like a lot of it's probably that. So there's like a lot of factors there. So I don't know. And a lot of it with the rail is like those slow zones last summer and
when
stuff.
They were working on them. Yeah.
There's a lot of factors.
I'd be curious to hear from our listeners, because I know we have tons of listeners who are really keen on other modes of transit outside of cars. I'm thinking about some folks that I met at our happy hour who like rode their bikes, rode their scooters, walked over. But maybe if you're someone that used to ride RTD or is just getting back into it, we'd love to hear from you. What are your thoughts? Does this new information about how things seem to be going on the trains, does that change your mind or entice you to ride again? Give us a call, 720-500-5418. Let us know what you think about the state of RTD. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, more news.
This episode is brought to you by MultiPass. Founded by event hosts for event hosts, right here in Denver. Sell tickets and memberships and find local events with MultiPass. Proudly based in Denver and deeply rooted in the local event and creative scene. You can build vibrant communities with a unique community chat feature that unlocks post-RSVP. This helps attendees connect and engage. So I guess if you're going to a show, this would be a place where you could say, hey, is anyone else going to this show? You want to go get a drink after or a bite to eat before? Revenue sharing tools are built in, which automatically splits ticket revenue between producers, performers, and promoters. They have membership management tools to build loyalty with your audience and secure recurring attendance. And it's designed to help everyone in the event ecosystem, not just promoters or people putting on events, but you too, just someone wanting to go have a good time. You can learn more at multipass.com. That's multipass.com. This episode is brought to you by the Colfax Avenue Bid. Because Denver's most legendary bar crawl is back, and this one ends with a bang. Saturday, September 6th, join the Colfax community for Next Stop Colfax Bar Crawl, a celebration of our iconic bars, street culture, and local music. The crawl starts at 3 p.m. and ends with a huge concert at the Squire Lounge at 9, featuring Wayne and Nello, who are awesome, with special guests EME and Off the Cuff performing the song of the summer. Nothing else has emerged, so I'm saying it. It's the song of the summer, Next Stop Denver, Colfax Avenue's newly adopted anthem that they know you'll love. RSVP early, and you can score our limited edition crawl shirt created in collab with Denver's own Beautiful. Look great. Look cool. Bars beats beautiful merch. Head to colfaxavenue.com for details and RSVP info. That's colfaxave.com. This is the bar crawl of the year. Don't miss your stop.
We're back.
We are back. So we're back on the woke mob. Not really. you know.
So this story bums me out so much.
I know this story is a lot, and it's kind of like it's a lot to do with like the national climate of things. But let's back up for a second. Back in January, an investigation was launched into the bathrooms at East High.
So that's what we're talking about, the East
Yes.
High School bathroom situation.
So can you catch us up on
yes,
what happened there? The
why
investigation.
this is a national
yeah,
story?
what's happening? What's happening?
So back in January, in an early move by the second Trump administration, the U.S. Department of Education sent someone to investigate. Well, actually, they were sent to investigate Denver's East High School for the decision by the school to change a girls' bathroom on one floor to an all-gender bathroom, which actually happened in January as well.
Okay.
Jenny Brandine at Denverite/CPR reported that they were also told to look into DPS's broader policy that allows students to use facilities that align with their gender identity rather than biological sex. And folks who have been tuned into the national conversation, the Trump administration is very, very heavy on this gender binary stuff. They're very, very into boys and girls are the only folks who exist. But the most recent news I think that was interesting that came out this week was that the Federal Office for Civil Rights concluded their investigation after almost 8 months and said that the taking a bathroom from female students left female students without a single-sex bathroom option on the floor of the school, while male students retained a separate exclusive restroom. And they're saying this violated Title IX. So I guess we should be clear. This was one floor. This was one bathroom on one floor at East High School where they converted one girl's bathroom to an all-gender bathroom. The feds are saying this is violating Title IX because it's leaving quote unquote women without a single sex identified restroom.
Okay. But so East High thought that they had a fix for this, though.
They did.
They thought they
did.
had a fix. So after this accusation, they converted a boys' bathroom on the same floor to also be a gender neutral bathroom.
To even out that gender disparity that the U.S. Department was saying was the problem.
Yeah. So they were like, we fixed it, but it didn't.
Right. So that I guess that's where the Title IX part comes into this is Title IX states that all facilities for student use must be comparable. So the argument was that the amount of girls' restrooms to boys' restrooms was uneven, and that's what was violating Title IX. So East High School's solution was to create another all-gender bathroom out of a boys' bathroom, so there would be an even amount of boys' bathrooms, girls' bathrooms, all gender.
Yeah. But why didn't that work?
Well, it's part of this broader issue that the Trump administration is having with this conversation around gender in general. The U.S. Office of Civil Rights said this didn't solve the problem in their eyes because the problem is, quote, males are still allowed to invade sensitive female-only facilities. So this is getting into the who's using the all-gender restrooms, and they're saying that this is not a, quote, safe place for young women, which I would love to talk to the East High School student body about this because I have a very strong feeling that East's move to do this in the first place was probably motivated by their students.
Well, that's what the article said, that
like requesting more options for restrooms.
It's also interesting to me because it said when I was reading this that part of the design of this bathroom was 12-foot partitions between the bathrooms, which reminds me, you were just in Europe. This is how a lot of the restrooms in Europe are designed. They are all gender, many of them. most of them are all gender, and they have floor to ceiling stalls so that anyone can use them. And it's not like the weird stall system we have here where they have huge gaps between. You can see people's underwear
that's going on.
It's just so odd. It's such an odd thing if you think about it. But yeah, I thought that was part of the design here.
It was exactly part of the design from the jump from East High School. So when they unveiled these student all-gender restrooms at the beginning of the year, they shared a statement saying, quote, given the size of our East community, a single stall restroom is not sufficient, which is normally the all-gender restrooms are often just a single
like
bathroom.
a family bathroom kind of thing.
Exactly. So we've implemented a multi-stall design. And like you said, the stalls are designed for privacy with the 12-foot partitions to ensure comfort and security. So that, I think, also is meant to address this quote-unquote issue that the Trump administration says they have with these all-gender restrooms, is they don't feel that girls feel safe in these bathrooms, which just like frustrates me to no end because it just reminds me of how much that these guys don't know about what happens in bathrooms.
Yeah.
I mean, this has been a longstanding thing in queer spaces forever. All gender bathrooms have been queer bars, it's on that level. Almost all of them have gender neutral options because there's just more of an acceptance, I guess, of fluidity of folks' presentations in the world, but like also long-standing tons of my gay friends when I was younger, dudes went into the girls' bathrooms with us. That was a different situation because it's a bar, but all I'm saying is like this is not a new idea.
No, I mean we've infiltrated the boys. Like it's like if the girls, there's always such a line for the women's restroom, and it's like we're gonna shut down the boys' bathroom so we can like get this line fixed for a minute, and it's like, you know, any restroom is all gender if you have to pee bad enough. And it's like, I don't know.
It all goes to the same place, you know?
Yeah. It's an interesting hill to die on here.
Truly.
I'm curious though, like what they have to do now that like it's still an issue with them adding the boys' side too.
Well, let's talk about that. So they proposed a resolution agreement and says the district has 10 days to voluntarily comply or face
10 days.
Yes, and that's of last Friday, I believe. Ooh. So, or they'll face imminent enforcement action. And this is what they are requiring or requesting that DPS do: revert all bathrooms that were converted for all gender use back to single-sex facilities. Rescind any policies or guidance that allow students to use private spaces like restrooms based on gender identity rather than biological sex. And issue a memo to all schools that they must provide private and safe bathrooms that are equally available to male and female students. And then this is the wildest one. Adopt biology-based definitions for male and female in all policies and practices related to Title IX. And Title IX covers education broadly. So they're basically saying you need to adhere to the gender binary as required by the government, which is crazy. I
don't know when the last time like these people have been in a high school was, but like there's not actually like a hall monitor at the bathroom generally. Like there's not somebody like checking your birth certificate when you go in the bathroom. Usually it's just kind of like you go in the bathroom.
You'd just be lucky there's toilet paper or that they cleaned it lately. Like
yeah,
I'm just thinking about the general state of I'm thinking of the general state of most restrooms is like not great.
I'm like there's not usually a bouncer unless it's like Lauren Boebert at the Capitol. But like, you know, do we want to live in a society like that?
It just feels very far to me from the reality that I think a lot of students probably experience every day.
Yeah.
I mean, so from all my fellow Gen Xers, elder millennials, you all remember My So-Called Life was this really big show in the 90s. And I think that was one of those first instances where they had a very out gay character, Ricky, who was a gay boy, a teenager. I mean, this was a big deal, but also he met up with his girlfriends in the bathroom like every day. That was part of the show, was the scene. And I remember thinking so much like, that's real. That's reality. And that was 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So this is, I don't know. This feels very opposite of what I imagine most students are experiencing. But let's really quick before we move on, let's talk about what Superintendent Marrero's response was to this.
Yeah. What did he say?
So, what I found funny was Chalkby pointed out that Marrero says he was notified that the federal government was looking into the bathrooms after they saw a 9 News story about it. Something he says is unprecedented for the Office of Civil Rights to initiate an investigation based on a news. And 9 News was just like, hey, look what East High School's doing. Cool.
Cops like gone national.
But then so after this ruling happened and they sent this order or this proposed resolution agreement, he released a statement Friday denying that there was any discrimination happening with the conversion of these restrooms. And according to the Denver Post, his statement from Superintendent Madero also says the Trump administration, through the Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights, continues to push its anti-trans agenda through the weaponization of Title IX, a federal law that prohibits discrimination on the basis of sex. So that tells you a lot about where he is with this situation. I will also say he did not say whether or not they were going to comply. So it remains to be seen how DPS is going to respond to this. But something else I found really interesting is Madero said that the Office of Civil Rights never visited the restrooms in the 8 months they were being investigated. And he says the department turned down several requests for a conversation and mediation with DPS directly. So they didn't even want to talk to DPS about it.
Yeah, I feel like DPS has a pretty strong case to be able to keep what they have going on. But, it'll be very telling if they decide to keep that fight or not.
Yeah. And I'm just so curious how students feel about all this, because I can't imagine what it feels like to have the sort of magnified eye of the government looking at your high school when there's probably a lot of other things that you would hope the government was paying attention to when it came to education issues. And I think just for reference, so folks know, close to 7% of DPS's budget in 2024, or about $96 million, was made up of federal funding. So I wouldn't say that's necessarily what's on the line, but that's definitely part of this conversation is federal funding does play into DPS's budget. It's about 7%, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I mean, the way that schools are, that could mean the difference between a lot of things. So
yeah,
I'll be curious to see. I mean, this week I think would be 10 days, and we'll see how DPS and Madero decide to respond and what the federal government decides to do about this.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting.
Well, Olivia, I'm so glad to chat with you. I feel like this has been so fun.
This was fun. Thanks, Bree.
And now, check out my interview with Dr. Jessica Apted from Sploot Veterinary Care. I'm Bree Davies, and I'm here with Dr. Jessica Apted, Medical Director with Sploot. Hi, Jessica.
Hi, how are you?
Great. So I've heard things about Sploot from other dog owners, and it sounds like you all have a really different approach to pet care. What makes Sploot unique?
There's definitely a couple things. I think, the main thing you can see in our signs and our website and everything like that, it says that we are a general practice and urgent care. So again, you'll have a lot of times where you'll just be able to go to your GP, but then if it's something, same day or urgent, you won't be able to get in. Or if you go to the ER, then you don't end up getting to follow up with the same doctor or, get any of the wellness stuff taken care of as well. So we are kind of that nice in between where you can come see us for vaccines, spays, dentals, but also you're able to get in for those more scary or serious things, whether, your dog ate a tennis ball or a bite wound or something like that. We're again there to cover kind of both of those bases. And then you get that continuity of care of getting to come back to us.
That's really nice. I'm thinking about my sweet dog, rest in peace, Frank. He was a Papillon that liked to fight, and he got into a big fight once, and we were like, our vet's not open. Where do we go? So it sounds like you guys do the routines, but also the, oh my God, where do I go?
Yeah. And that's another thing, like you said, like my vet's not open. We're also, our hours and days and locations, we're open 7 days a week, 10 hours every day. So 8 to 8, 365. So even on the holidays and stuff, I know crazy stuff always seems to happen on the holidays or when you're traveling.
That's amazing. So Sploot started here in Denver, but has expanded throughout the city in Colorado. How does the local community continue to influence and shape the way that Sploot has built your care model?
We definitely, started when we were first starting out and continue to really engage in community events. We do a lot of things around the city with local rescues, shelters, any sort of events where pets are going to be at. So engaging there and listening to people, what people really said they're kind of like missing from veterinary care for their pets. The biggest thing is that here in Denver specifically, people treat their pets really as a family member. It is not just a pet, and so they really are wanting to find somewhere where they can get the same level of care, the same options, the same things that they get when they go to the doctor, but for their pets.
I love that. I have struggled with that, finding something that feels as personal as my own doctor because, yeah, my dog, my current dog, Boomhauer, is my baby. And, knowing like, oh, I can see the same doc or we can go, it doesn't matter what we need. You guys have it all. So something awesome I've heard about Sploot is that you all are catering to all kinds of working parents, really. What else do you do to make it easier for people to work with Sploot?
So, I mean, a lot of it these days comes down to communication, right? So we have the ability for our medical staff to be able to text and email clients and get back to them very quickly. It's not you're calling in to leave a message and someone will call you back. Always, we're able to communicate quickly. We have a whole very unique set of scheduling and triage specialists. So again, you're able to get a recommendation for what's going to be best for your pet, when to be seen, how to be seen, where to be seen from these specialists. So you're almost getting kind of a medical recommendation at the same time you're getting scheduled. So definitely for working pet parents, that lets them know like, oh, okay, I can wait till tomorrow, or like, oh, I need to get in immediately. Or we also have drop-offs as an availability. So again, if you're like, okay, I can come in now, but I just got to drop off and then I got to go back to work. We also have the mobile app. So that one gives pet parents access to their pet's medical information and charts. So, even if for some reason it is after 8 p.m. and they do need to go somewhere, they're not having to rerun all these things that maybe they had just done with us when they go to the specialist. They can pull it all up and see it right there. Another big thing I know in Denver, the metro area, we talked about the hours, but we also have free parking everywhere. And so the accessibility in the city.
That's a big deal for Denverites.
Yes, exactly. Is a big thing. So yeah, free parking everywhere. One of our clinics even has like concierge parking where they'll go park your car for you. So again, it's accessibility, whether it comes from the hours, the parking, the ability to talk to our medical team.
It sounds like a lot of peace of mind for a pet owner, honestly, because, like you said, not just from the hours of availability, but like the ability to drop my dog off on my way to work and not have to schedule that in between my lunch break. Like just makes it so much easier. That's amazing. Jessica, thanks again for being here. And again, folks can check out splutvets.com to learn more. We'll have a link in our show notes. Thanks, Jessica.
Thanks.
That's all for today here on CityCast Denver. If you enjoyed this show, why not take a minute to tell Acting Assistant Secretary for Civil Rights, Craig Traynor, about us? Rate the show wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe to our morning newsletter and learn more about us at denver.citycast.fm. And hey, thanks to our new neighbors, Emma C. and Donald S., who just joined our membership program. You can support this show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Denver neighbor today at membership.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. See ya. Me and producer Paul Jalivia. Me and producer Olivia Jewel Love dig into these stories plus more news.